Welcome to Carson Now's Weekly Pulse, your deep dive into everything shaping our community, right here in Carson City. Today, June 27th, we're going to take a look back at the biggest stories we reported this past week.
Yeah, everything from environmental shifts to some really great community achievements.
Exactly. And then we'll give you a full rundown of what's happening around town this weekend.
That's right. Our goal today is really to unpack the most important stuff from our reporting, help you understand not just what happened, but, why it matters here in Carson City. We've got insights on urban challenges, some inspiring local stories, basically making sure you're plugged into the pulse of the community.
Okay, let's dive in then, starting with a pretty significant story from Thursday, June 26th. Carson City is dealing with a really widespread and concerning issue, a mass die-off of trees.
Yeah, that was a big one.
The article detailed that 250 trees are actually slated for removal.
250, wow.
And 150 of those are being taken down this week alone.
This week, okay.
Yeah. And that's on top of 21 trees and 14 shrubs that were removed just last week.
Yeah.
It's a lot. You can really see it.
It is. And, the interesting thing our investigation found is that it's not just one single cause. It seems to be this compounding effect, a whole cascade of environmental pressures hitting at once.
So what kind of pressures are we talking about?
Well, first off, intense heat stress. That's a big one, especially for species that aren't very drought tolerant, like red oaks.
Okay, yeah. Makes sense with the heat we've had.
Exactly. Then there's the possibility of higher herbicide concentrations, maybe lingering more because we had a lighter winter. That's being looked at. In all that stress, it just makes the trees vulnerable. So you get things like scale insects, powdery mildew, things that might not normally kill a healthy tree.
But they get when the tree's already down.
Precisely. They deliver that final blow. And then you add in irrigation issues, breaks, pinch lines, just old equipment not working right.
So inconsistent watering on top of everything else.
Right. And maybe even overplanting in some areas, or species competing too much for resources. It's complex.
Is there any good news in this? Are they trying to save any?
Yes, actually. We reported the city is actively monitoring things. They're treating trees that show signs of possibly recovering.
Okay.
And they do have plans for replanting, probably in the fall.
Well, that's something. This really stings because Carson City's been a Tree City USA since 1994.
For 3 decades. That's a long time.
Yeah, it's a commitment to our urban forest. And losing trees like this isn't just about how things look. It hits that whole urban heat island issue, the UHI.
Absolutely. For anyone not familiar, UHIs are basically spots in cities that get way hotter than the surrounding rural areas.
Yeah.
Buildings, pavement, it all traps heat.
And trees are like our natural air conditioners, right?
Totally. They can cool things down by, 20 to 45 degrees in dry climates like ours? That's huge.
Think about your energy bill. Less shade means higher cooling costs. So this has real long-term impacts.
It does. And, connecting this to the bigger picture, it's not just us.
Oh.
We've seen similar things happen in Las Vegas. A big tree die-off there, too.
Really?
Yeah, our reporting mentioned that the Southern Nevada Water Authority actually predicted years ago that many common tree species there would exceed their heat tolerance, like 16% by 2025.
Wow, this year.
And nearly 40% by 2055. So it raises that question for us here. Are we seeing the start of a similar long-term trend? Are we ready?
That's a sobering thought. What are other places doing?
Well, some cities, like Tucson, Arizona, they're being really proactive, planting millions of trees to try and combat rising temperatures.
Something to consider.
And it's important for everyone listening to realize this isn't just city trees on streets or in parks. We're seeing stressed trees everywhere.
And people's yards, too.
Yeah, residential yards, private property, look for those signs. Curled leaves, maybe trees not flowering like they should, weird discoloration, root problems. It shows how connected our whole urban environment is.
Okay, so that's a major challenge we're facing. But let's pivot, because Carson City also showed a lot of community spirit and resilience this past week.
Definitely. Lots of positive stuff happening, too.
Let's start with something fun. Wednesday, June 25th, we announced the winners of the 30th Carson City Taste of Downtown.
Always a great event. Such a good turnout.
So who took home the honors this year?
Okay, let's see. Sumi Sushi got Best Taste. For Best Sweet Taste, that was Leon Raspatos.
I love their stuff.
Right. Best Discovery was actually a tie between Crazy D's and Thai Basil.
Nice. New finds.
Shoe Tree Brewing Co. won Best Drink Taste, and the Best Band Award went to Dakota Was.
Fantastic. It's such a showcase of local talent.
It really is. But the most important part, this event is the biggest fundraiser all year for advocates to end domestic violence, AEDV.
That's right.
So all that fun directly supports essential services for survivors right here in Northern Nevada. That's community support in action.
Absolutely powerful. Okay, sticking with community focus, also on Wednesday, June 25th, we reported on the Carson City School Board meeting. They approved some important items.
Yeah, some key decisions were made. They approved the district's insurance package, which is always a big one, and the food service agreement with Chartwells. What's interesting there is how they noted student preferences are really factored in now, trying to get more variety, healthier options. It shows they're listening.
It's good progress. What about the wellness policies?
Big updates there, too. They unanimously approved changes to the wellness policy that now specifically includes suicide prevention efforts and anti-bullying initiatives. Really critical support for students.
Definitely needed. Any other updates from the board?
Yeah, a quick update on substitute teachers. They have 105 approved, but they're still actively recruiting through job fairs.
Always a need there.
And they had a presentation on MAP testing results, which tracks literacy and math growth for K through 8 all year. So lots of focus on student well-being and progress.
Good comprehensive stuff. Now shifting from policy to something really inspiring. Another story from Wednesday, June 25th. From cell to celebration. Inmates earn diplomas behind bars in Carson City.
Oh, that was a fantastic story. Really powerful.
Tell us about it.
The article highlighted 75 students from Carson Adult Education who earned their high school diplomas while incarcerated.
75? That's incredible.
It really is. It just powerfully underscores how education can transform lives, open doors, offer new beginnings, no matter the circumstances. Learning can happen anywhere.
What a great reminder. Okay, let's talk about another positive community project. On Monday, June 23rd, we covered the ribbon cutting for the new CHS ticket booth.
Yes, the Carson City Chamber Leadership Class Project.
What did they accomplish there?
So, the class of 2025, they raised almost $200,000.
Wow.
Yeah, between cash and in-kind donations. They completely modernized that aging ticket booth at the Carson High Sports Complex.
What kind of improvements?
New lighting, new signs, fresh paint, and really importantly, new ADA-compliant windows to improve accessibility for everyone.
That's fantastic. A real tangible improvement from local leadership.
Exactly. A great example of civic engagement making a direct difference.
All right, let's touch on some quick business and infrastructure updates from the week. Monday, June 23rd, we reported a new Planet Fitness is opening this week.
Yep, saw that. And Sprouts is aiming for September. Tentatively.
Good news for shoppers and the local economy.
Always good to see new options coming in.
And on the transportation side, there was news about CAMPO on Thursday, June 26th.
Right, the Carson Area Metropolitan Planning Organization. Their July 9th agenda includes things like bus replacements and plans for upcoming projects and studies.
And didn't we also put out a call for public input on Wednesday?
We did. CAMPO is still looking for community input for their long-range transportation and transit planning. So if you have thoughts on how things should look in the future, now's your chance to weigh in.
Good reminder. Anything else transportation-wise folks should know for this weekend?
Yes, definitely. That US 50 repaving project up at State Line in Tahoe. We reported on Tuesday that lane reductions start this Sunday, June 29th, and go through July 1st.
Okay, so heads up if you're driving up to the lake Sunday or Monday. Plan for delays.
Exactly. Plan accordingly.
And finally, a couple quick notes on health and wellness initiatives we reported on last Friday, June 20th.
Sure.
Partnership, Carson City launched a GoFundMe campaign.
Right. That's to support their community wellness programs, a really important community effort to fund those vital services.
And there was also an open house mentioned.
Yes. The exquisite open house was highlighting the Advocate Academy and Survivor Services, another key resource in our community.
Okay, great. So a busy week of news covered. Now let's get to the fun part, what's happening this weekend.
All right, lots going on right here in Carson City and nearby. Friday, June 27th through Sunday, June 29th.
Let's hear it. And folks, remember to double-check times and details on the Carson Now event calendar online, just in case.
Always a good idea. Things can change last minute.
Okay, kick us off with Friday, June 27th. What's happening today?
All right, so today, there are some ongoing signups. Carson City Youth Cycling is recruiting for next season. Carson High's Youth Tennis Clinic. Signups are open for their July camp. And there's a summer co-ed volleyball camp for elementary grades 3-5 at T Street, Sierra Nevada.
Good options for kids. What about daytime fun?
Carson City BMX has races today. Their season's underway. And the Children's Museum of Northern Nevada has art studio craft classes this afternoon, 2 to 4 p.m.
Nice. And for the evening?
Okay, evening plans for Friday. Carson Tahoe Health Auxiliary is hosting a paint and sip night from 5 to 8.
Fun.
Saltwater Tavern has the El Fogon food truck starting at 5:30. They'll be there all weekend, Friday to Sunday.
Good to know.
Also at Saltwater tonight, classic vinyl FX music from 6 to 9, and then karaoke kicks off at 9 p.m., like every Friday.
Okay, what else?
The Tap Shack's Summer Stage Series has Audio Box and Candy Burger tonight, 7 to 10 p.m. Polecat Tavern has karaoke tonight, too, 7 to 11:30 p.m. They do it the second and fourth Fridays. And over at Gina's Good Life Music and Lounge, Moxie Ruckus is playing from 7:30 to 11:30.
Sounds like a busy Friday night. Okay, what about Saturday, June 28th?
Saturday's packed, starting bright and early. The Carson Cruiser's 38th run What Cha Brung Car Show is all day at Mills Park.
Yeah, that's a huge one.
It is. And they mean What Cha Brung cars, trucks, boats, even semis. Plus a kids event, too. Pre-registration was yesterday, but the show's all day Saturday.
Cool. What else is happening Saturday morning?
Carson City Farmers Market, of course. 8:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Mills Park. La Tapatia Ice Cream Shop will be featured.
Yeah?
Cafe Connections is meeting from 9 to 11 a.m. Good chance to meet new people. They alternate between Shots Bakery and LA Capitol Cafe.
Nice.
The Nevada State Prison Tours are happening 9 a.m. to noon. You need tickets for those. They're on sale for specific dates.
Fascinating tour if you can get tickets.
Definitely. Greenhouse Garden Center has a free class, The Buzz on Bees, from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m. And WNC has CPR, AED, and first aid classes from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Good practical stuff. Okay, what about Saturday afternoon and evening?
Afternoon, Carson City Library hosts its chess club from 12 to 3:45 p.m.
Okay.
Then evening entertainment ramps up. Brewery Arts Center has the Metal Chicken Kitchen food truck from 6 to 10 p.m. That's during their Levitt AMP concert.
And who's playing the Levitt AMP series Saturday?
Page in the Overtones. That's 7 to 10 p.m. and it's free. Great community event.
Awesome.
Polecat Tavern continues their summer concert series with Front Porch playing from 6:3 to 9:3 p.m.
All right.
For classical and Broadway fans, the Tahoe Symphony presents Big Band to Broadway. A patriotic summer celebration, 7 to 8:30 p.m.
Sounds lovely.
The Tap Shack has the Jack Eyes on their patio stage, plus Apuna's Hawaiian Kitchen food truck, 7 to 10 p.m. And Gina's Good Life Music and Lounge features Mud Bonds live from 7:03 Leary to 11:30 p.m.
Wow, Saturday is definitely packed with music and events. Okay, how about Sunday, June 29th? Does it slow down?
A little bit, yeah. But still things to note.
Like what?
The El Fogon food truck is back at Saltwater Tavern Sunday evening.
Okay, good food option.
And remember that US 50 repaving project at State Line?
Right, lane reduction starts Sunday.
Yep, Sunday, June 29th through July 1st, so definitely plan for that if you're heading up the hill.
Crucial reminder. Anything else for Sunday?
Just one more thing listed. The Mile High Jazz Band Association is having its membership party and annual meeting.
Okay, good for their members.
So yeah, that pretty much wraps up the weekend events calendar.
Phew.
Yeah.
Quite a week we've covered and quite a weekend ahead.
Absolutely. You know, looking back from the serious environmental news about the trees and how the city's responding to celebrating community wins like the Taste of Downtown, the school board's work, that amazing inmate graduation story, the Chamber's ticket booth project, it really shows the diversity of what happens here.
It really does.
Understanding all these pieces, I think, helps us appreciate the whole picture, the whole tapestry of Carson City life.
Well said. And we at Carson Now love bringing you these stories and helping you piece together that picture. Remember, you can always contribute. Send us your news tips, your photos, your event listings, right on the Carson Now website. We want to hear from you.
Definitely.
So as you head into your weekend, here's something to think about. What story from this past week, or maybe what upcoming event, do you think will have the biggest impact on our Carson City community in the coming months? Food for thought. Thanks for tuning in to Carson Now's Weekly Pulse. We'll catch you next time.